All righty. Good afternoon, ladies. Welcome. And this week, we're going to focus on National Women in Construction Week. And I'm very excited to have two women in construction with us today, Michelle Barton and Ann Martinelli of Aristeo. So we're going to talk to them and have a great conversation about what it's like being a woman in construction and just have them share some tidbits and some lessons learned of being a woman in this field. So welcome.
Welcome. Thank
Thank you.
you.
So Michelle, can you introduce yourself and tell us what your role is at Aristeo?
Yeah, so I'm Michelle Barton. I'm the president at Aristeo. I've been here for 15 years, and my role right now today is I handle obviously profit and loss for all of our business units. I like to think of myself as more a person that helps pave the way for others to be successful. So obviously I have the entirety of the company reporting in directly to me. I have our managers reporting up to me, but I like to interact with them, everybody, a variety of levels every day, and just make sure things are running smoothly, that the business is progressing, and keep an eye out for the long range plans of the business.
Oh, wow, that's very exciting. And Anne, can you share with us a little bit about your role and
Sure. So my name's Ann Martinelli. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at Aristeo. I focus on strategic development, marketing, and business development. And I joined the company in fall of 2017 after about 15 years in management consulting and as a digital executive in retail.
okay. Now, I am just very excited to have you here today because Aristeo Construction is the largest WBE certified construction company in the nation. So that's quite impressive. And we don't always get to meet women in a non-traditional field. Now, I understand that Aristeo was started by your dad many, many years ago, and you all are continuing on the family business. So I'm sure that you both could have chose any path to go on because you are very, very talented in your own right. But why did you choose construction and to remain in the family business?
So for me, Ann and I have taken very different paths because I was Miss Inside and she was Miss Outside. So we kind of are the yin and yang, of the team. But for me, I started right after I graduated college, and what attracted me to the business. Construction breeds a certain type of people. The industry is very fast paced, it's very dynamic, it's very demanding. And so what I really like about the industry and about, Aristeo in general is it's a lot of people working towards a common goal to deliver for our clients. We often get tons of different requests that seem insurmountable at the time, right? A schedule that, people say can't be met. A product launch that the customer has to have and we can't figure out quite how to do it. So working together as a team and providing solutions in that kind of fast-paced environment is something that I really enjoy. Plus, I really like working with such a group of people with a strong work ethic.
Thank you, Michelle. And I'm going to ask you the same question. Why did you decide to work in the family business of construction?
Yeah, and to Michelle's point, I took a very different path. I was away for about 20 years from going out to the Bay Area for school and a few roles and then moving to Chicago for about 10 years. So after trying a lot of different things, I was really excited for the opportunity to join our management team and become part of the family business. I think for me, we were looking as a family at some different changes that we wanted to make. There was a lot of pressure with two young children, and it could have been any industry, but I really fallen in love with construction. I used to do retail, which was also very fast paced. And what the connection is the people, right? The people work so hard in this business, and to give everyone appropriate respect for what they're doing, they're creators. It's very exciting to be a part of, and it's been great to learn the industry alongside my teammates.
Oh, wonderful. Very fascinating. So I started out the top of this interview indicating that it is National Women in Construction Week. So what is National Women in Construction Week? What is its importance and why are we observing this week?
So The National Association of Women in Construction actually launched this week in 1953. How forward thinking. And so what the intent of NAWIC's Women in Construction Week is to highlight women in the industry, to attract more women into the industry, and I'll get into that in a second. And then thirdly, to do community service during this week, because there are nationwide many local chapters that participate in this. Larger industry organizations such as the Associated General Contractors of America and the Association of Builders and Constructors also participate in this and spotlight this week. So women currently are about 10% of the workforce in construction. So it under indexes the relative workforce population, and construction understands that in order to continue to grow, which it's at 4% GDP right now of the US GDP, it needs to attract, highlight, and spotlight talent across all diverse populations. And so there's a lot of initiatives in place in the industry to welcome people that may have been in the past thinking maybe this industry isn't for me, and to highlight all the different roles available in the built environment, whether that's, architecture, engineering, design, construction, trades, right? So that's what the intent is. We're really excited to help spotlight women-owned businesses and women in the trades throughout this week.
Oh, wonderful. That's a great initiative. And you mentioned that the women in construction industry is growing, but it's still under indexed. What has been the most surprising that you found being a woman in this construction field? And I'll start with Michelle first.
Yeah. So, kind of to Ann's statistics, I think that the most surprising to me, it's almost the chicken and the egg when you're looking at a underrepresented population, right? So people don't go into it because they don't deem it to be fitting for them, but it is a very welcoming industry. There are a lot of talented people, both male and female, that have helped me throughout my career. People really want just good, talented, solid people in this industry, particularly with it being such a high demand industry. So in terms of surprising, I guess I wouldn't call it surprising because I never expected it any different, but it is not this big, scary industry that maybe it's perceived to be in the outside community.
Oh, wow, that's very interesting. And what about for you? What has been the most surprising?
So coming from an outsider into the construction industry, what was most surprising to me was how welcomed I was. And I had worked in other industries, software and digital has a more male-dominated bias perhaps than even construction. And I found that everyone was seeking out our perspective, trying to be inclusive and trying to teach me what I could learn from the industry. And I don't have a technical background. So that's another, a barrier, if you will, to becoming part of the industry. But I found it to be incredibly welcoming. And it's really about the people. The people are so committed to what they do. They take exceptional pride and passion in their work, and it really shows.
Okay, thank you, ladies. Can you speak on any challenges? What has been the biggest challenge of being a female in the construction industry? Are there challenges? And if so, what has been the biggest challenge?
So I would say, we get asked this question a lot, and there's no one big thing I can pinpoint. To me, the way, and I think Ann would agree that I read the question is, it's a challenge in any industry to be a manager, right? You have family obligations, you have your work. Ann and I both have young children, so how do you balance that as a woman in a leadership role in any industry? I would say is the better question, and what resonates more to me. And again, it is tough. The thing that is a challenge, particularly about construction is a lot of long hours, a lot of odd schedules, and it's obviously very physical in nature. There's not a lot you can do from a remote standpoint, where in other industries you might be able to. So budgeting your time throughout your life, I'll say your family time, your time as a wife, your time as a mom, your time as a leader in a business, it takes on a different challenge in that I physically have to go to site, right? I can't just check on a work product from my own home or remotely. So that's probably one of the bigger challenges, I would say. How would you add to that?
I guess I would say, to me, it was less about being a female and more about not having a technical background, architecture, engineering degree, construction management degree. Everyone has significant respect for one another in their roles. And so provided that you go and learn what it really takes to create and build, they have respect for the roles that you're performing that are more traditional business functions. And so for me, it's kind of like I was learning a foreign language. When I first got in here, I didn't know the jargon because every industry has its own. And then once you start to listen to your teammates and get to know things, it all starts to sink in.
Mm-hmm. That was very great, ladies. Very interesting perspective. Thanks for sharing. So you both are very supportive of the WBE network, and we're so appreciative of you and just your hard work and supporting others. So I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about mentoring. You both pay it forward. What is the value in being a mentor?
So I'll lead with this one. One of the things that I think is, a fallacy of being a mentor is everybody expects you to know everything, right? And to me, the best thing that about being a mentor is that in helping different businesses, I've learned a lot myself, right? Every business operates differently. We've obviously, of course, with you, Shawntay, have been a part of the construction cohort. And even though it's within our industry, each of those businesses have unique challenges, and how they've kind of worked to solve those challenges, I've learned a lot from, right? There's a lot of great ideas to be gained. So not only is it sharing in their success, but it's also a two-way relationship, right? We don't necessarily have every answer. You can always learn, you can always get better. And we found that camaraderie with that group, that they feel comfortable sharing ideas and we'll bat them around. But I've also learned a great deal from them as well.
And I would add to Michelle's, both in the first cohort with construction related businesses, it was great for us to expand our network of women-owned businesses that were involved in the construction industry. So it's great to see other faces around. It really ups your game in terms of your functional knowledge, and what others are sharing their experiences with you. And in the second cohort, because it was across many different industries, we really had to focus on the business fundamentals, right? It's either financial acumen, marketing and sales, depending on what that business needed. To me, I saw something cute going around on social media, and it said something to the effect of, you want to be with women who mention your name in a room full of opportunities. And I think that we're very passionate about doing that for the women that we know. We've seen the perseverance that they've had, whether it's turning around their business during a pandemic or growing their construction business to the next level. And we're here to support that. We want to see them be $10 million businesses, right? We want to be there for that journey with them.
Oh, wow. Thank you for sharing. So my question to you both, do you have a mentor?
So I don't just have one. So one of the things for me that has been very beneficial, I've had different mentors throughout my career, but we're part of a peer group, and nationally, it's a group of non-competing companies that their executives get together 2 to 3 times a year, and we talk best practices. I form relationships with those executives, so I can call them and say, hey, they know our business well enough, but not too close to get into, so they're not as biased. I would say sometimes when you're sitting in the seat, right, you don't see how you see things as objectively as you could. So I can call them up and say, hey, let me run this by you, right? And it's a good sanity check. I've been really positively encouraged by some of my ideas. And then sometimes it's, hey, it's not a bad idea, but you got to watch out for these 4 things that could happen, right? And so it's a really good back and forth. And I strongly believe you need mentors and different types of mentors in different roles to really, everybody needs it regardless of, how high they climb in a company.
Excellent,
To
excellent.
Michelle's point, women have and generally, they tend to look at another woman and say, I like this model or I reject this model of whether it's their work-life balance, how they lead and manage. And it has been my experience that when you grab specific qualities about a bunch of different people and say, I really like how they know about this, I'd like to learn that specific thing from them, you tend to have more mentors engaged in supporting your success. I've been really fortunate by working outside of construction and having people that saw my ideas and thought, we really should put her in this room. And this would really help our team. And I've been really fortunate and blessed to continue relationships with those folks. And then, you know, our parents, there's no one else that we would rather role model our values from. And so we know we're not going to live up to them, but we try. We try, and it's been great to have their perspectives, both in life and in work, as well as other career mentors.
That's beautiful. Thank you. I want to deviate slightly. I know both of you are going to be featured panelists with our upcoming Exec Weave, and our theme this year is the power of we, coming, working, and rising together. And I know you all are very supportive, as I mentioned, of other businesses. And you had said earlier, Anne, about what just, you know, giving people opportunities when you go into a room. So can you just speak on the power of supporting other women in business? Can you elaborate a little bit on what do you see the value in doing that and how that has helped even Aristeo in achieving your goals?
Yep. I'll start and you can jump on.
Do.
So I think that in any network, could be any industry, when you have a group of friends that understand what you do and what you do well, they use their word of mouth to support you, right? And so what I've seen through the first Mentor Week cohort is after getting to know the other women and their businesses, I have someone that I can recommend because I'm in many conversations with potential customers, people who might be customers of the women-owned businesses we support, you know, as a subcontractor, if you will. And I'm able to give their name as someone to consider and someone to call to get better advice on a technical issue. And I think that we need more cheerleaders like that. And it's a ripple effect that will go beyond, you know, one small industry. Now that we've met the COVID cohort folks, they're in different industries entirely, and we can bring them into the conversations as well when we're out and about in the world. I think that many women think and act this way. They just need to meet one another.
Yeah.
And so if we have that, it will start creating more and more opportunities for one another.
Yeah, I would add to that particularly with the pandemic, when you saw people having to step back a little bit, you know, whether they had to take care of their family for, you know, school or childcare reasons and work from home, or, you know, our business owners, right? They were running their businesses day to day. It was a challenging year. I think having a network like we have through not only just our small cohort, but through WeBank as well, it really kind of pushes your boundaries a little bit in a good way and gets you out there, right? In fact, you know, Anne and I were talking the other day and we thought, who, you know, if we're chasing a new client, who would we know that could get us to this client? And I said, what if, Anne, you know, would Michelle Richards know? And she said, oh yeah, I think she would know, right? And so there's all these people that you meet through your network, and whether you develop really deep relationships like the ones we've had through MentorWe, or it's just a, you know, kind of a tangential network where you're like, I think this person works here. I wonder if they would know, or, you know, even if it's a connector, the way Michelle might be a connector for other people, there's a lot of power in, you know, our WeBank network.
Awesome, awesome, ladies. So we're winding down in our conversation, but before I leave, I want to ask both of you, do you have at least 5 tips that you would share for maybe a woman who's starting out in the construction field or who has a fledgling construction company? What are some words of wisdom or some tips you can share for being successful in construction?
The first one I would say is to trust your gut. there are a lot of women in business, and I think there's just this feeling of potential failure, right? And so we're a little bit more hesitant sometimes, especially when it's your money, your capital raised, right? So I would say if you think you have a good idea that you've vetted pretty well with different parties, go for it, right? Be confident in your decision making, and in the words of Joe Aristeo, it's better to make a bad decision than no decision at all, right? So, so that would be the first piece. And then the second piece, and we've learned this a lot through our mentoring experience, is how many women in the cohort felt like they had to do everything, right? And so our best advice would be find, even if it's one person at first, find somebody that you feel comfortable with, that shares your values, that you can learn from their expertise, to help free you up to do other things, right? Because when you're doing it all yourself, you're setting yourself up to fail, right? You need a good team around you. You need other people to support you as well. So those would be my pieces.
Thank you, Michelle.
Then I will add, in construction, your reputation is almost solely first based on your safety performance.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to create a culture where safety is the penultimate thing in your organization. You have to create a culture of accountability. What's great about construction is, if there's not, the pit has not been excavated by day 3, everyone knows.
Yep.
There's no document where I'm going to get you that, right? It is there right in front of everyone. And you have to hold yourself accountable and your team accountable for success. And that's a very important part of success in the industry. I would also highlight, for women in particular, construction is a business about risk management. So having professionals that really specialize in the industry around risk mitigation, construction law, and construction accounting are very important connections to make, and really integral to the long-term growth of the business. The accounting is different than other service businesses, if you will. And then I would say get out and network. As women, we tend to struggle with balance about, we're wives and mothers and business runners and so on, and we're not getting out of the office, so to speak. And I think that programs like this have really helped some of our mentees realize how much networking would help their business and help them in their personal growth. So we heard a lot about that from the first cohort.
Great, great. So that concludes our interview. Thank you both for just, again, being such a wonderful mentor and wonderful leader and role model for our women enterprises. And I just thank you for taking the time to talk to me today. It's been my pleasure.
Thank you, Shawntay. We appreciate it.
Much success to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.